One of the most common questions that I get asked, how do I find inspiration? It's really hard to give an answer in a 60-second Instagram story. But what I usually tend to say, and what is the truth, is that I usually just go on Pinterest. To be so honest, Pinterest is amazing. I've gone down so many rabbit holes in Pinterest. There are an endless amount of ideas and inspiration that you can get there. I think that people tend to romanticize inspiration, thinking that it needs to be a completely original idea that we pluck out while we are wandering through a museum or an art gallery or riding a horse on a beach somewhere in Spain. I don't know, but I think that we do have a tendency to romanticize it and think that if we are getting inspiration on Pinterest or social media, that it's not valid. But it is, because you can get inspiration from literally anywhere and it's all valid. What I like about using Pinterest is that it is very helpful if you are working on a deadline. And it is very helpful at helping me change the state that I'm in. So if I'm not feeling very creative, scrolling through Pinterest is actually a really great way to get you into this altered state, to get you into a creative flow where all of a sudden you're picking out an idea here and, ooh, I really like this part here, and you can save them to your Pinterest board. Or what I've been doing recently, which I really have been loving, is I will pull those images and just like not think about it too much. I'm just pulling images that I respond to, and I will put them into a Figma mood board, basically. Most recently, I've been using it to create this kind of like mind map. I pull in these images and then I'll sort through them and put similar concepts next to each other. And what I love about this is because it's such a free form, it's kind of like placing your ideas where you would place them in your brain, because not all ideas are going to fit in this neat little box. Some of the ideas are going to overlap with this idea, or it's going to start like blending into something else. And then you combine it with some other idea. It becomes very fluid. And I think a mind map is a perfect way for you to really kind of mirror what it looks like in your head, or where you would put these ideas in your brain. I think inspiration is kind of a tricky concept to nail down, because inspiration is inspiration. It's an idea that's in the air that you can't necessarily touch or feel, and it changes from person to person. An idea might just stay an idea, or someone might turn it into a product. And so it's this like very amorphous, ethereal thing, and we don't know where it comes from. So several years ago, I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the Eat, Pray, Love lady, and it's just very popular, but she wrote this whole book on inspiration. Basically, she's talking about inspiration as something that already exists. Like every idea that has ever existed and will ever exist already exists somewhere in the air. We are simply basically radios that tune into different stations, and we can tune into different frequencies that allow us to receive certain inspiration. And I 1,000% subscribe to this. We have this concept of the muse, where ideas are not ours. They don't belong to us, but they're given to us. I don't think that people come up with completely original genius ideas. I think that certain people are really good at tapping into ideas that are already in our collective consciousness. You know, how many times, well, I don't know if you've had this experience, but you have an idea and then you realize like someone else on the other side of the country or the world also had that random idea. I also just think it's fun to think about in that way. It takes the pressure off you, You're just the receiver. But the truth is that we are always creating. Creation is literally the force of life to create. It's always happening. And even if it's not like a creative thing that we're making, you're still always creating something and you're always being inspired by something. I really believe that life, the universe, is always just asking us, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? We can do it. Let's do it. What do you want to do? I think the thing that happens though, it's not that you don't have inspiration, it's that we block ourselves from it a lot of times. It can be scary to take the risk and create something and bring it to life. Our minds are really great at putting seeds of doubt in us and asking all of those fear-based questions like, what if I'm not good enough to do this? Will I make money from this? I can't give up my job. What are people going to think about me if I do this? There's like an endless spiral that you can go down of just doubts, an infinite number of doubts that can stop us from receiving inspiration or acting on them. And I don't think that these doubts are bad. I think that doubts have a purpose. I think that doubt usually comes from our ego, the side of us that wants us to stay safe and not take a risk and want everyone to like us. Of course, like we need that part too, but we also need to be able to discern what is worth the risk and if the doubt we have is real. So at that point, it's really about making a choice. You have to make a judgment call on how much you believe in an idea or are excited about an idea versus how big the risk really is. But if you get caught up in the what ifs, then they will always convince you not to create something. I feel like that was a bit of a tangent, but if we're coming back to how do I find inspiration? I mean, to be so honest, I still struggle. Whenever I go down those Pinterest rabbit holes, it gets me excited, but it also gives me so much anxiety because now my brain is like overwhelmed with ideas and I don't know which one to do. And so I'm still working on sitting through the discomfort of when inspiration comes. But the actual finding of inspo is not hard for me, I guess. Yeah, I don't find it difficult. I think part of me is naturally wired to be pretty floaty. And pretty like in my own little world. What I need to do is just work on the discernment part of like, okay, which one of these ideas should I stick to and continue to develop? Which of these ideas should I maybe put on the back burner and wait like until next year or something? But for sure, I definitely try not to guilt myself about where I'm getting inspiration. And I definitely try to stay aware of how I am evolving this inspiration and if it feels maybe too close to someone else's work. I think you still have to be careful about that. I mean, I think so much of it is about your intention. People get very scared to maybe be perceived as someone who copied someone else, that it just stops you from creating. That's where it just gets muddy. But if you really had this inspiration to create something and you had no intention of fighting on someone else's work or copying something, then I think go for it. Don't be afraid. I think, especially in this time, we have never been in a time where we have shared a brain more with everyone else on this planet. So don't let it stop you. You ultimately don't have control over how someone else perceives your work. And if you don't have control over how other people might feel about your work, and you know that your intentions were good and you were inspired by something specific, I am pro making it. Just make it. Don't overthink it, because your brain can also go on these spirals of like, well, what if this product takes off and then I make a whole business out of it and then it gets in some article and then someone else sees it and sends it to, like, it can go in that direction too. Then you're thinking everyone's going to see you as a fraud or like a copycat or something. Just be aware. Just be aware of your spirals and your doubts and where they're actually coming from. And equally be aware of your intentions and where you're getting the inspiration from. That's it. Don't overthink it. If you're excited about something, do it. The main thing that will let you know whether you should do it or not is how excited you are. If you are just bursting with excitement to make something, that is your cue to make it. Okay, so I hope that you're maybe inspired to stay inspired or to find inspiration wherever you go. Okay, I'll see you next time.